那我们可以开始了 Let's get started.
Okay, all right. So our presentation is focused on what we call the 3 highs. So the 3 highs are going to be things like, on the next slide, it's going to be, the 3 highs have to do with what we call metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome, what we sort of consider it is it's a recipe that may lead to chronic disease. So sometimes we only have one of these, but some people may have more than one of these chronic diseases. So the 3 main chronic diseases that we're going to talk about a little bit today, which all sort of circle back to, I know our emphasis is also blood pressure. So we want to talk about blood pressure a little bit and how to control blood pressure. The 3 highs are diabetes, heart disease, and kidney disease. So that's what these can lead to. And then we'll talk about what the 3 highs are specifically. Anything you want to do there, Faye? So it's high blood sugar, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. So this is also known as metabolic syndrome. Okay, let me see. So this one is where it's where we talked about it being a recipe that could lead to more chronic diseases. When we say that a disease is chronic, we mean that it might be more long-term and someone may not get better from that particular disease. So we look at a combination of lab values, and we're going to talk a little bit about lab values today and which ones that you might want to be aware of in order to make sure that you're less likely to get these types of chronic diseases. Okay? So diabetes, heart disease, and kidney disease are what could come from the 3 highs. All right, how do you know if you have metabolic syndrome? Well, you have to have your lab values. Does everybody sort of know how they get their lab values? You get them from your blood test, right? And you get them from your doctor. Now, oftentimes, the doctor may not sit down with you and explain what these lab values mean. So in our presentation today, we're going to take a little time and sort of explain what the lab values mean and how we could possibly make them better, okay? So hopefully we can make the lab values better and we can decrease your chance for chronic disease. So we want to know what these lab values are. We want to know how to read them. And then we want to know, so should we even print them out? What do you think?
I think we should.
Should we print them out? Yeah, I think keep the record. I think that's a really good idea. And that way you understand what the numbers mean. Okay. So the next one is going to be, so this one is A1C. So we were talking A1C a little bit. Now A1C is a measurement of the blood sugar over a 3-month period. So say, for example, you are celebrating, lots of things to celebrate right now, right? So you're celebrating, we eat lots of really good food, and then maybe in March, we're going to go get our lab values done. Okay. So maybe we're going to get our lab values done. You want to talk? So maybe March is not the time to get your lab values done because you were doing a lot of celebrating, right? So that may reflect the 3-month average. What it is it's a 3-month average of your blood sugars. And that might reflect, or some of the things that you were eating, the sugars and things like that, could show up in your lab values, okay? So A1C, we have a pre-diabetic range here. And then, I can even do that, yeah. So we have a pre-diabetic range here. This is the non, so we're going to call this, we'll say non-diabetic for 5.2 to 5.4. 5.5 to 5.9 is going to be pre-diabetic. Now, sometimes we caution people in the pre-diabetic range because in the pre-diabetic range, we want to make sure to communicate with our doctor. We want to make sure that we know what this number means because we don't want to go over an A1C of 6, right? So if your A1C is already over 6.0, typically the doctor will say it's type 2 diabetes. Now, if we take care of it here and we change our diet, can this number go down? Is that possible?
Yes.
It's possible. So there are a lot of things that we can do with our lifestyle, our food choices, that can lower our A1C so that we become, even if we want to go back into this range, it's possible. Now, sometimes with our age, we can't always get back down into this range here, but we may be able to stay in the 5.5 to the 5.9, okay? Now, right now in the US, there is about 92 million people that are falling into this area here. So A1C is very important to know. Okay, the next one is going to be your blood sugars. Now, we can test our blood sugars, right? How do we test them? You can do a little meter. Yes, you can do a meter. You can also wear the glucose monitor. Have you seen those? So they do have glucose monitor, but you can just still use the finger stick. It's fine. Now, don't be afraid of these numbers, okay? The number is helping you to control your blood sugar better. So if you are, we're going to say fasting, and when you are fasting, and sometimes people say, oh, I'm a little bit diabetic, but can you be a little bit diabetic? Or are you diabetic or not diabetic, right? Does that make sense? So sometimes we really don't want people to say, oh, I'm just a little bit diabetic, because oftentimes we just want to take care of the sugars even when it's in the medium range. So here on the sugars, we are our non-diabetic range, and we're going to say this is fasting. This is the fasting range, the 70 to 99. So fasting means no food for about 8-10 hours, okay? So maybe this one, but people with diabetes can still have this number. That's true. This number here is the number they use sometimes when people are pre-diabetic, okay? And then when they're going to diagnose you as type 2 diabetic, this is the number they might see on your blood, okay? So they might see something that's 126 or above.
OK，请问，
请问一下，那个他刚才讲说带那个 monitor，那个医生讲说是有打胰岛素人才能带，还是普通有血糖高的人就可以带？
OK, her question is for the blood sugar monitor. Is it 是你说
医生是讲说打胰岛素人才能带。
Oh, somebody who's getting the
还是一般血糖就可以带着观察。
Okay. Her question is, can one only worsen when doctor is giving them the 胰岛素
不是因为
insulin, the insulin shots that they can wear that, or a normal person who's had a little bit higher blood pressure?
Yeah, a higher blood sugar. That's a good question. Sometimes if you want to get a continuous monitor, sometimes we want to know just for ourselves. You might have to pay for it to get it. If you are a diabetes on insulin, the insurance will pay for that one. So that's typically, but oftentimes you can ask your doctor for a prescription, and at Costco, you can get 2, depending, the cash pay is 2 for $60. So if you're curious, and maybe if you only need to wear it for 2 weeks, and then you can learn a lot about your blood sugar over that 2 weeks. Now it's going to monitor 24 hours a day, so that might make you a little crazy because you're going to be constantly looking at it.
哦，不
Yeah.
客气。
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so those are the numbers for the blood sugar. So here's another set of numbers that we want to be careful about, and this is our cholesterol, okay? So cholesterol is made by the liver, okay? The liver makes cholesterol, and the liver makes enough cholesterol every day for your body. And so the liver is going to make plenty of cholesterol. Now, we do get some cholesterol from our liver, and we do get some cholesterol from our food, right? So the foods that have cholesterol all come from animals. So only animal food has cholesterol. Yes. So if I have a plate, ice cream. Well, if there's milk in it, it has cholesterol. Yes, a little bit. So if I have a plate up here, and my plate has 3 things, okay? So Faye, maybe you could tell us the 3 things. I have turkey, I have avocado, and I have almonds.
火鸡、牛油果和杏仁，
So which one has cholesterol?
哪
The turkey, right. But some people, if they don't know it's animal only, sometimes they say, oh, well, the avocado has cholesterol. But avocado has fat, almonds have fat, but they don't have cholesterol. So cholesterol comes from our food. Now, should we be careful with how much food, cholesterol-wise, we eat? We should. I mean, a lot of times, but what is really making these numbers go up? The thing that makes this number go up the most, we want to stay 200 or below. If we have diabetes, we want to be maybe 170 or below, okay? Now, the thing that makes our cholesterol go up the most is saturated fat, okay? So here's where we get saturated fat. We get it from, you know, when you have chicken and you eat the skin, that's saturated fat. When we have pork and we eat the fat around the pork, that's saturated fat. When we do the steak and it has a lot of fat, that's all saturated fat. So we just want to be careful, and the fat gives it flavor, right? So understandably, we want to have flavor with our meat, but a lot of our saturated fat comes from, and it also comes from butter. It comes from butter as well. So, yes.
What about the avocado? It's saturated.
It's monounsaturated. So when we say monounsaturated, it actually is not, it's not going to contribute towards your cholesterol. So avocados are more heart healthy. Yes. So avocado more heart healthy, just like olive oil. Let's see, what other oil do I use? Like grapeseed oil, that's very much more heart healthy for you. So
How about salmon?
salmon, always very heart healthy, yes. Always very heart healthy. But then shrimp has cholesterol, but it's interesting because eating shrimp may not raise your cholesterol as much as eating like the pork fat or the chicken fat. So sometimes we want to try to get that balance. Okay, the next set of numbers is what we call the good and the bad cholesterol, okay? So the bad cholesterol is the one that we want under 100. So what makes it bad? The bad cholesterol, think of it as being a sticky fat, and it's going to stick inside your arteries. So it's going to collect and it's going to pile up. And it could, if you have a lot of bad cholesterol, it could cause heart attack or stroke, right? And it could make our blood pressure go up as well. So the bad cholesterol, and then we have the other side, we have the good one. That's called HDL, and sometimes we say H is for healthy. Questions so far?
HDL 就是高密度脂蛋白，对，大家有问题吗？
How about eggs?
Eggs. So yeah, eggs were for a long time. People were thinking I can't eat very many eggs. I would say if you ate 2 eggs a day, yes, there's cholesterol and it's in the yolk, but you're going to be fine. You're not going to raise your cholesterol by eating 2 eggs a day. So now 6 eggs a day might be too much, but 2 eggs a day is going to be fine. So that's not going to affect your heart health. So the good cholesterol, what the good cholesterol does is the good cholesterol takes away the fats or the clogged artery, and it takes them away and it gets recycled back into the liver. So how can we get less of the bad cholesterol and more of the good? We can start with our saturated fats and kind of lower that. You know what we can also increase? We can increase fiber. So increasing fiber helps to lower your cholesterol. Okay, so far?
都是纤维可以降胆固醇。
对。
So so cholesterol or fiber is going to be really good. Now, how many grams of fiber? I don't know if I put it later, but how many grams of fiber per day? I'm going to say probably 25 to 30 grams per day. So we're going to get fiber from vegetables. We're going to get it from fruit. We're going to get it from maybe brown rice. If you don't like brown rice, you can always mix a little brown and a little white rice. You could try that too. That definitely will help increase your fiber intake. So the other thing we can do, so the fiber helps to lower the LDL, but what can we do to increase the good cholesterol? What can we do to increase the HDL? Anybody know? It's exercise, yes, it is. So exercise is how we increase our good cholesterol. So we want to try to get the exercise that we can when we can. Okay, so make sure I'm on the right slide here. This next one is going to be the good cholesterol, right?
The HDL?
Yeah, the HDL. So this is the HDL number. The HDL, okay, so over 65 is a good place to be, but the lab values will say that women can be 55 HDL or more, and the men can be 45. I just put 65 because I want you to hit a big goal with your good cholesterol, right? Okay, good. So we want to try for that big goal, and it's exercise that is the best way to get that up. All right, this is our blood pressure. So blood pressure, now here's the interesting thing about blood pressure. Blood pressure is not caused, actually we don't really know why somebody gets high blood pressure, meaning 95% of people that are diagnosed with high blood pressure is from what we call an unknown etiology, meaning we don't really understand why you get it. We know so much about the human body, but we don't know why you get high blood pressure. So what's interesting, people will say, oh, it's because I ate salt. It's not, okay? Now, eating too much sodium raises your blood pressure, that's true. But did it cause your blood pressure? No, it did not. Sure. Mm-hmm.
那个 Victoria 的意思是说，血压高很多是没有原因，不知道原因，就是医生也不知道原因，就是你血压高。但是呢，很多人说是不是我吃太咸了，我吃太多钠，但是那个只是会让你高，但是不是造成你高血压。
So we'd like to keep and we can monitor our blood pressure at home nowadays, right? We can do that. If your blood pressure is in we call the stage 1, which is here, typically most people may not need to take a medication in this phase here. But in this phase 2, you probably, or stage 3, you do need to be on some sort of medication. Now again, we're going to watch sodium. So where does a lot of sodium come from in our diet?
就我们日常饮食中的sodium 钠，就是都是从哪些地方来的？大家知道吗？
出去吃饭。
Eating out,
Eating out,
salt,
yeah, yeah,
canned
food,
罐头食品、
frozen foods,
冷冻食品
yeah, processed foods,
processed
foods, yes. So a lot of, and even sauce, like sauces for the foods that we make, right?
很多调味料、酱料。
Has anybody ever heard of coconut aminos? Yes.
有人听说过
Yes,
coconut
so I
oil
brought some today so I can show you. I made a sauce
What's that?
today with coconut aminos instead of soy sauce. Yeah. So it's kind of a replacement for soy sauce, a lot less sodium. So I made a peanut sauce with coconut aminos instead of soy sauce. So
and it's
大家
delicious.
可以看到 Victoria 有特别做了这个 sauce，要让大家品尝。
对，那他讲的那个 coconut amino 是椰子氨基酸，就是一个可以代替酱油的一个含钠对吗？sodium 很低钠的，
low sodium。
对，代替酱油
it
的。
is. It's low sodium.
那个在哪里买？在 market
就是
Where can we
Trader
buy?
Joe's.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trader Joe's is the most common. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
It's with the soy sauce and everything, yeah. In
It's
fact,
made
I
from
was at
coconut?
H Mart. It does, yeah, it is made. I was at H Mart yesterday, and I asked everybody, they didn't know where it was. Yeah, so I couldn't find it at H Mart. Yeah, so I brought the bottle from Trader Joe's, and I
对
can，show
待会
you.
儿大家可以看一下，因为维多利亚有带那个 coconut amino 的来，你可以看。对 ，Trader Joe's 有，对。
Okay, so the next slide, we're talking about inflammation. And this is going to relate to high blood pressure. This could relate to someone that has diabetes, cancer, heart disease, sort of everything. So when we think of inflammation, we do have inflammation outside of the body, but we also have inflammation inside of the body. So here's my example. Say, for example, you cut yourself, and then you have some swelling and maybe a little bit of bleeding, right? Because you cut yourself. So your body is trying to protect you by making it stop bleeding. And then it gets swollen, and then it kind of hurts, right? Red. And then we have to put a Band-Aid or something to make the inflammation go down. But, do you want to start with that?
大家听懂就是 Victoria 刚刚解释一个例子，就是如果我们切了自己的话，那你伤口就是有时候会肿啊，会红，会流血，那我们就是会要把它盖住，会让它消肿，才会让伤口愈合。
对，这个就是所谓的外部发炎。
外部发炎。
外部发炎。
So, the inflammation on the inside of the body happens in our arteries. So in our arteries, if we have some cholesterol building up in the arteries, that is part of inflammation inside the body.
OK， 就是身体内部的发炎，就是它讲的是血管里面的血管堵塞。就如果你胆固醇高的话，有可能会造成就是身体内部的发炎。
If you have high blood sugar, that's also inflammation inside the body.
如果你血糖高的话，也是就是身体内部的发炎的一种。
If you have high cholesterol, sometimes that's also considered inflammation inside the body.
对，高胆固醇也算是身体内部的一种炎症。对。
Okay, so the inflammation outside of the body, whoops, wrong one. There we go. The inflammation, this was outside of the body, is often from an injury. So I put that here, and that's the redness and the swelling, and I mentioned that one already. Let's go to the next one, the inflammation inside of the body, which an example I used was heart disease. So plaque buildup. The body does not recognize the plaque, and therefore it causes inflammation inside the body. So chronic inflammation means that it's going all the time, and it doesn't stop. Now, if the inflammation continues, sometimes our immune system does not work well.
对，如果炎症一直持续的话，我们的 immune system 免疫系统，对免疫系统就不会太会去对这个做出反应。
Okay, so these are some examples of diseases that are inflammation related. We have Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Those are autoimmune diseases. We have heart disease. We have high blood pressure listed. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. MS is multiple sclerosis. Obesity. Psoriasis is like your skin condition. And then I think we also have arthritis, so different types of arthritis. So all of these here do contribute to inflammation inside the body. Okay, now the next one says, should you get your inflammation checked? Sometimes, now oftentimes if you ask your doctor, please check my inflammation, they're going to say, what for and what are you going to do about it? Okay, so oftentimes they don't run these lab values. They'll run them sometimes, but most of the time I find that doctors don't allow or they don't run the CRP. Now, if they ask you, what are you going to do about it? What can we do to lower our inflammation in the body?
对，就是我们如果降低身体内部发炎这个炎症的话，我们可以做一些什么？对，因为维多利亚说，一般医生就是说你去跟他要求说你要检查身体有没有炎症，他就是会问你，就是一般普通的验血里不会验这两个数值，那医生会问你为什么要验你 What was the question the doctor's going to ask you if you ask for
Yeah,
this?
what are you going to do about the inflammation?
Okay,
Yeah.
你算出这个数值来以后，你会要做些什么事情？就医生一般会问你这个问题，对。
I would say sometimes the doctor doesn't know what to do if your inflammation is high.
Right. What can you do? I mean,
Well, yeah.
what do you think?
对，有时
Yeah,
候医
what
生
are
肯
they
定
going
也
to
会
do?
不知道
Exactly.
能够做些什么。对
So here's what you can do. You ready? Okay.
We're ready.
We're ready. Here's what we can do. All right. This is sort of if we want to lower inflammation in the body. And I would say this goes back to yin and yang, right? To the balance in the body. And so we want foods that are limited. We want to limit sugar. Now, how much sugar should we have on a daily basis? It's the same number that I mentioned for fiber. So if you can do 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day, then I'm going to say stick to around 25 to 30 grams of sugar per day. Now that's any sugar that is on a food label.
就
Okay?
是大家讲，这有些食物就是它翻译，其实就是说是大家要大概限制这一些食物的摄取，对，不是有限食物。对，那高糖它维多利亚说的是，就是说你如果能把你每日糖的摄取量保持在你的you said fiber right same
Fiber.
number with
Same number.
对你每天糖的摄取量跟你每天纤维的摄取量如果能保持一致的话 ，it's about 25
25 to 30 grams of
25
sugar.
到30克的糖，对。
I just want to get a more a real figure about what does that mean by 25 grams, like
Yeah.
2 cups of sugar?
Yeah, no, perfect. I was just going to say that, yeah, that's perfect. 1 teaspoon of sugar is 5 grams. Yeah. So 1 teaspoon, little teaspoon, yeah.
对，一茶匙。
So not tablespoon, but the teaspoon. Or you can think of it as 1 packet. 1 packet sugar is about 5 to 7 grams of
对，
sugar.
一小包糖已经5到7克的糖的含量，对，就是你们在餐馆里弄一小包的，已经5到7克了。
So say for example, we're looking at the label on a Coke, Coke or Pepsi, whatever. So on a soda, everybody knows that soda has a lot of sugar, right? So in 120 ounce, maybe 38 grams of sugar. Well, that's all your sugar for the whole day, right? So and I'm only saying look at labels, but when it comes to fruit, don't worry about the fruit. We can do 2 fruits a day, and that's not counting towards your sugar. So we want to make sure we still do some fruit because fruit is important. We want to limit the processed sugars.
What about 5 fruits? What if you eat like
Well, 5 fruits is going to be too many. Yeah, that's really too many. So too much of a good thing. Is there a translation for that? Too much of a good thing is too much. Yeah.
就再好的东西吃多了，可能也就变不好了。对，就是他刚刚说水果你可以尽量吃，可是也不要吃过量，因为水果的糖分他说不算在你每日的糖的摄取量。So the sugar you get from fruits does not count towards
that 25 to 30 grams. But we still want you to try to do 2 fruits a day is about average. If you're doing 3 or 4 or 5, it might be a little bit too much sugar. So try to get the balance in there.
1到2个水果。对。
Sorry about that.
It's alright.
The other question I have is, what about a substitutional sugar? For example, like honey, would that be the same?
Great. Yes. So what we do is we look at processed sugars. Now, honey can be natural sugar, right? But at the end of the day, your body treats it just like sugar. So we have a saying that says, sugar is sugar is sugar. No matter which way we try to make it, like molasses or honey or a sugar that has palm trees on it, I mean, it's all sugar still. So, yes.
Victoria 意思说糖就是糖，其实你用别的甜的东西也是糖，蜂蜜这些都是糖，糖总是糖。
对，所以都算糖，就是你吃了蜂蜜也会算在那个25克，每日25克。对，请问。
刚才说那个水果那个糖跟这个糖怎么能区分？要以多少呢
His question is how do you distinguish the sugar from the fruit and the sugar that 每日摄取的糖，对吗？水果的糖跟每日摄取 ，Yeah. How do you distinguish?
Oh, so fruit sugar is called fructose. Processed sugar is called sucrose. But a lot of times when we're trying to be careful with all sugar, we really just focus in on any grams of sugar on a food label. So like your apple doesn't have a label. It's okay. You can eat the apple. Yeah, so that's a different, because it's still sugar, but we're not going to say, you know, I sometimes doctors will say, don't eat any fruit. I'm like, who would say that to, you know, a diabetic patient? So fruit sugar is a little different than processed sugars.
对，就是水果的糖跟加工过的糖是不一样的，对。
So I would just say best thing is to look at the label.
他说最好的事情做就是你去看你吃的东西里的那个食物的标签，对，他会告诉你那里面就是那个 for the label the sugar is processed sugar.
Well, most of that sugar, I mean, it could come like you could be eating a yogurt and there's sugar in it. But if you're looking at the label and you might see added sugars. This could be a whole nother presentation, by the way. You might see added sugars. And so if it has like 10 grams of total sugar or less, usually I'll say, that's okay. That's not too bad. But if it has like 25 grams of sugar on the label, I would say pick something else.
对，就是你看那个食物的标签，如果含糖量超过10克，就以它的角度就有点多了，对。对，但水果是不一样的糖。水果他说你每天2个的量是 OK 的，你吃多了就多了，但是你算
那个酸奶一标成
15，
不敢吃了。
有一点多。So he says, so if a yogurt has like 15 grams of sugar, it's considered a little bit.
It's a little bit on the higher side. I would try to drop it down to somewhere between 7 and 10.
7到10。
Because there is milk sugar. Yeah, it does have milk sugar, but sometimes the yogurt they add more sugar. So.
所以 yogurt 未必健康，要看它的那个 label。对。
Sorry, one really quick.
Okay, quick question. How about, you know, it's very easy when it's food with label.
Yes.
What about the natural food? For example, I'm having a sweet tangerine.
Yes.
It's so sweet, but
Yes.
I cannot.
Well, that's okay. You know what? I wouldn't worry about that. I would just worry if you ate 6 of them because they're so yummy, right? So if you only eat 1 of them, or the little mini ones, if you eat 2 of the mini ones, that's fine. You're not counting that. You're not counting that.
That's good.
Yeah.
那个不算。对
Yeah.
What is that really mean about the added sugar?
The added sugar. So he's asking, what does added sugar mean? So added sugar means they had to add sugar to the product to make it taste better. Yes.
对，添加糖。
Real
对。
sugar, it says added.
They are adding it. Typically, what they're adding is processed sugars because they want the product to taste better. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we want to be careful of processed meat, like deli meat. We want to be careful of processed cheese. And then we want to be careful of sugary foods, and we want to be careful of fried foods, right? So these are things that are more limited on when we're trying to do more of an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay. So what about inflammation and stress? So how do we manage? Sometimes the stress also contributes to the inflammation. So we might need to meditate or pray or take a walk, right? Those are all things that we do. We have a lot of stress these days. And so sometimes we need to think about ways that we could best manage our stress.
对，就是压力也可以造成身体的一些炎症，所以这些有一些方式大家可以试着可以给自己减压。
Okay.
Reduce your stress.
Yes. What are the benefits? Well, your skin could clear up, decreased muscle or joint pain. So this is all benefits of doing more of the anti-inflammatory foods, which really just means less processed foods. Decreased swelling, fewer headaches, improved stomach function, better sleep, less anxiety. Okay, all those here. The next one, it can lower our blood pressure. That's important, right? It could also potentially lower your blood sugar when you're, sometimes blood sugars go up because you are stressed and your body is stressed. And then you could benefit with more energy. So just the idea of eating less processed food can help you with your energy levels, making sure you get in protein, both animal and plant-based protein is important. And making sure you get in fiber. I think fiber and protein is very important in the diet, especially as we get older and we want to keep active and we want to keep moving.
对，就是他认为维多利亚认为摄取好的蛋白质跟纤维，就是对我们每日的生活都会有身体都会有很好的好处。
Okay. How about chocolate? Do we like chocolate? Yes. So chocolate is also good. Now it's going to be a little bit better to do the dark chocolate. The higher the percentage, the more bitter, but it's a little bit better. And you can have a little bit of chocolate, not a little bit of chocolate every day. Dark chocolate, whether you're diabetic or not, doesn't matter. But it might even help lower your blood pressure, lower stress.
黑巧克力比较健康。对。
So how much or how many?
Yeah, so we say about 1 inch square every day. I'll tell you my favorite. My favorite is the dark chocolate covered almonds from Trader Joe's. My sweet treat is 3 a day.
3个黑巧克
That's
力
why if I
包的
keep the whole
馅，
pack, I'll eat them all.
3颗一天。
So 3 a day is my, and the almonds are good for you anyways.
Yeah, and you're not getting paid by Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid by Trader Joe's. Darn it, I wish
he
I
has a
was.
question.
Yes.
有血糖病的能吃吗？巧克力？
If you have high blood sugar, can you eat chocolate?
You can eat dark chocolate better than milk chocolate.
吃
Yes.
黑巧比吃牛奶
Same,
巧克力
same
好。
serving.
对，一样的量，
Yeah.
不要吃太多
Yeah.
，1小块
It's
1个
okay.
inch 的 size，就 一块。
1 inch size. Yeah, 1 inch
一
square.
块他也不给我吃。
His wife doesn't allow him to eat any.
Oh, we should tell her it's okay.
1 piece a day. The wife.
Oh, it's okay. There she is. Okay, exercise. We need to, if we can, right? We need to get a little bit of exercise. It can help boost our overall wellness. It can help with our heart health, blood pressure, lots of different things that we can do. What about strength training? A little bit of strength training is also good because you want to build what? You want to build muscle. So muscle is always good. Muscle keeps us upright, keeps us walking, less falling, right? So we have to build a little, walking is very good, but you got to build a little muscle also, okay? So you got to lift those weights, get some gloves. Yeah, got to lift a little weights, or cans, or water bottles, whatever you have near you. All right. Thank you so much for having us. It's so fun to be here.